So I'm here to talk to you today about our voluntary, independent, confidential reporting scheme and why I think, if not us, something like us is needed by the industry if we are going to meaningfully improve safety. I'm not going to read those out, but the numbers on there are frankly quite appalling, and you can just see how big they are in terms of the numbers of deaths and injuries that we have over relatively short periods of time. We all know that the maritime industry is quite a dangerous industry, and we all know that despite us talking about it for many, many years, these numbers don't seem to get any smaller. And I think this is the reason why, and do forgive me, this is a bit of a build slide, but if you get this, you'll understand where the rest of this is going to go. On the vertical axis, you've got the severity of incidents, and I've drawn a dotted line there just to show anything below that line is a near miss, anything above that line is an actual incident where somebody's got hurt or something's been damaged, and obviously the severity goes up. So at the top end you've got people being killed, at the bottom end you've got people just, lightly injured, but right at the bottom they got away with it, they were lucky. When something happens on your ship, if you've got a good safety management system on board, everybody on that ship will know, everybody on that ship will learn from that experience. You will probably report the incidents and potentially some of the severe near misses to your company, and at best case, if your company is good, you might share those incidents around the company so a few more people have learned from that incident. If you belong to a trade association, you might share some of them. By now, the company reputational management systems have kicked in, and so you will always spin the incident in the best light because you are worried about reputational damage. And so a lot of the learning has now been glossed over because nobody really wants to tell people why they made a mistake. And so the learning is already getting diluted. But luckily, the diluted learning at least has the virtue of being seen by a few more people. If it's serious and a statutory reporting system kicks in, because normally we're talking here at deaths or vessels grounding and sinking, that then gets shared widely by the accident investigation branch or the flag state. But again, very high level, no real learning of why it happened, more a case of it did happen, don't do it again. Well, that's not really learning, that's almost somebody waving a finger. And all that orange area is where we could have all learned collectively from each other's experiences, where we could have stopped an incident on one ship being repeated on another ship and another ship and another ship. And we don't do this for good, understandable, commercial and reputational reasons. Nobody likes to be the company that puts their hand up and say, hey, we're not 100% perfect. We sometimes get things wrong. We need to move to a culture, I think, where we stop chastising people and telling them off because they got something wrong, but instead celebrate the fact that they were willing to talk about it. I won't do it today, but ordinarily at these sorts of conferences, I ask two questions. The first one is, who here thinks we should learn from everybody else so that we don't make the mistake ourselves? And everybody normally says, oh, that's a good idea, Adam. Yeah, that's good. And then I say to them, okay, who afterwards is going to come and give me your business card so that I can collect your accident data from your company so we can use it? Oh. Nobody. Or possibly that one brave soul at the back that didn't quite listen to what it was I said and just thought I said, can I have the business card? But we do need to move on from this. This is what we need to do. I don't know who Oliver Holmes was, but I found that quote and I thought it was quite good, so I've put it up there. CHIRP has been going 20 years. I won't read that. In a nutshell, we are there to promote that discussion across company boundaries and to get people learning from others' mistakes, improving maritime safety by really being reflective. We're voluntary, we're confidential, we're independent. That means that we are effectively, if you like, the United Nations of reporting systems. You will all have your own reporting system. You will all do it in your own way. You will all learn inside your own companies the things you think you need to learn, but you almost certainly don't learn from other companies. That's where we come in, because we can take away the who. We don't care that it was company X or company Y. We do care about how we can help others not have that accident. A lot of people will say to me, but we already have a reporting system, but hopefully I've explained why that's okay, but it's not good enough if we're going to move the dial of safety to improve safety. I do understand why people are scared to tell us, frankly, and it's a very good reason, because nobody wants to be seen as the company that keeps getting things wrong. But in over 20 years, we've never had a single security breach. We are confidential because we don't tell anybody who the reporter was, which the ship was, where the port was. Even if you read our reports, sometimes it's difficult to tell which hemisphere it happened in. We don't do this on our own. Nikos is one of my now 55 ambassadors. We're in all the countries in orange. So we have a network of people helping us spread awareness and to champion this safety culture improvement of being open and honest, which goes back to what Apo said at the beginning. We are supported by many people who want us to do this. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. We work with a lot of other people in a lot of other industries on that. That's a snapshot. We've got academia. We've got people from other companies. We talk to people from welfare, safety, environmental, human rights. Why? Because if you were to draw a Venn diagram, safety doesn't happen on its own. Safety happens when people, psychological safety, are cared for, well-fed, looked after, have good contract rights, and are working on ships where people care about them. This is how we do it. Excuse me. We take reports from individuals. We prefer reports from DPAs and companies because they tend to have more detail. We put them all into our single database, which only we have access to. We then go across that database, looking across sector, across vessel type, across location, pull out the safety learning, look at the trends, and turn those into short, free newsletters, which go out in 8 languages, the common seafarer languages. The reason being that if you've got a Filipino member on board and he's talking to you in his second or third language, the safety learning that you will be able to impart will be diluted. So we do it in their language, and you know that if you've got a Ukrainian seafarer, a Chinese seafarer, an Indonesian seafarer, and you give them the same report, they're reading what you're reading in your language in their first language, and that's really powerful. From that, I'm not going to go through that, that's an eyesight test, I do apologize, but as you can see, we collect data, we examine the safety trends, we report on the safety trends. For this audience in particular, you will be hopefully pleased to see that it's the larger ships that give us more of the reports. If you look at the bottom right-hand side there, if I was talking to a ferry and cruise association, as I was a few months ago, they're at the far end and they really need to do better. But this one's doing pretty good. And that's us. Please use us. We're a free resource. Please report to us. And if you've got too much money and you don't know what to do with it, please support us. Thank you very much.